Hey guys, Metawacky82 here, back with a new Viking Orations. Got another batch of singles for you today. All death metal, all heavy hitters within the scene. So yeah, going to kick things off with Inhuman Condition and their brand new song, Recycled Hate, which is the first single of this Florida-based Death Crew's forthcoming second full-length album entitled Fear Sick, which is due out July 15th on Listenable Insanity Records. And I thought it was really cool when I was kind of scrolling through the information under the song there on Bandcamp, that Paul Mazurkowitz from Cannibal Corpse actually provided lyrics for this song. So that's really cool to see him, helping out, a fellow death metal band like that. And yeah, this song is so good. The heavy toned guitar on here really laid down some nice mid to fast paced riffs with some really catchy and headbangable moments throughout, I found. And there's a really nice guitar solo at the 241 mark. Of course, I've always loved Terry Butler's bass playing. I've always loved the sound that he gets on anything he's played on, and here it is just thick and rumbling away throughout. Very easy to make out, despite not being very high up in the mix. I thought Jeremy's drum production was solid with a good snap to the snare. I especially like the kick drum sound and his double bass work on here. He doesn't really do anything super flashy, but just lays down some really solid death metal drumming, in my opinion. And you top everything off with his vocals, which are heavy yet intelligible growls. Very powerful performance, I thought. Overall, I think this is just a solid and catchy death metal song from veterans of the scene, as you got people from Obituary, Death, Deicide, Rib Spreader, among others, comprising this band. So you would expect no less from these caliber of musicians. Now, pre-orders start on April 16th with several really cool bundles available. I am really looking forward to that. I've got one picked out that I really want. So yeah, I will be leaving a link down below to their Bandcamp, as well as all these other bands as well. So next up, if I can get the page here to turn. Things are just not cooperating with me this morning. We are going to be talking about the brand new song from Texas Murder Crew entitled Ritual Disfigurement. Now, this is the first single off this Texas Death Unit's forthcoming debut full-length album, Wrapped in Their Own Blood, which is due out May 20th on Comatose Music. Now, the guitars on this song are just really chunky, and they lay down, these mid-fat to, should I say, this more mid-paced, chugged riffs with some kind of slower, heavier sections as well. And a couple of, kind of what I like to call newly riffs, kind of make an appearance briefly, and some pinch harmonics as well. The bass is thick and heavy, and it kind of tends to really work with the guitars to give the song that thick wall of heaviness. Doesn't really stick out too much in the mix, though at the 23-second mark, and again at about 2:04, it briefly gets to stand out as kind of the other mixers just briefly stop, and you just hear a little bit of a bass section, and it has this kind of twanginess to it, which I really liked. Drum production was solid. The kick drums have a real oomph to them, I think, and I love the blast beats on here and the double bass work, which at times gets really fast. Now, this band has 3 different vocalists in it, which I've always thought was cool to see. Kind of has that, exhumed, carcass kind of feel to it in a way when you have 3 vocalists. Now, for the most part on this song, you get the low, though not quite guttural growls, though he does give you some gutturals at times. You also get some more roar-styled vocals. And then at the 2:33 mark, I love the kind of twin vocal attack that goes on here, as it kind of reminded me of Gore Rotter when I heard it. Overall, just a heavy dose of Texas-style brutal death metal. It's, I really love this band's EP from 2020, so I'm very anxious to check out the rest of this album when it finally drops on Comatose. And get a 2-for-1 with this last one, as both of these songs come from Decapitated. Starting things off, you have, Cancer Culture, which, these actually are the first 2 singles off of this Polish band's forthcoming 8th full-length album, Cancer Culture, which is due out on my birthday of May 27th on Nuclear Blast. And as I said, we're going to kick things off with Cancer Culture. which, this song starts right away with the blast beats, and I really like the drum production on here. It's nice and powerful in the kick drum department. Good snap to the snare, and I love the patterns, rolls, and fills he does on here. He also does some really quick double bass work as well. The heavy sounding guitars have, mid to fast paced riffing and a nice solo at the 250 mark. And honestly, they sound aggressive and just pissed off this entire song. The bass is thick and can be heard rumbling away in tandem with the guitars. It really stands out, though, at the beginning of the guitar solo, kind of giving you a good idea of what the tone sounds like. Then finally, Rasta's vocals are, they're more of a shouted style compared to the low growls of earlier releases in Decapited's catalog. So, those are long gone. This is what we get now. He does throw in some more growly style vocals at times, but overall he just kind of sticks with the shouted style. And, overall I think he sounds as good as on the previous releases that he's been on. And then the second single that they just released is entitled Hello Death. And this one starts with like a dual scream from Rasta and Tatiana Smeliak. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Of Ginger. And, some people have said, well, she doesn't do any harsh vocals or anything or any growls on this song. But if you watch the music video, you will see during the opening scream, it kind of briefly flashes to her screaming along with Rasta. So she does do some, but that's about as much as you get from her in that department. Now, everything sounds really good, just like on the first single. Though the blast beats and the guitars of the opening have this kind of Meshuggah, genty feel to them, and that kind of goes on throughout the rest of the song as well. The riffs are still fast and heavy during the song, yet they take on a more like melodic feel at times, especially when Tatiana's parts come in. At the 203 mark, I love this riff here as it's very emotive. It's like when you hear it come in, you're just like, man, it just kind of hits you a certain way. At the 58-second mark, Tatiana makes her, big appearance in the song since the opening with that dual scream with Rasta. And, she only does clean singing from here on out. Other than that opening scream, that's about as harsh of vocals you're going to get from her on this song. But honestly, they've never sounded better. And she really belts out the lyrics at times. And then at the 142 mark, they layer her vocals. And I really thought that sounded amazing how they did that. Overall, I enjoyed both songs. They're slightly different in sound from each other. You have a fast, aggressive song, as your first single, really get people pumped for it. And then you get another one where they're trying a little something different and more modern sounding, but yet it still has, some of those heavy moments to it. And while I was reading comments on it, a lot of people hated Tatiana's vocals even being on this song if they weren't going to be the growl vocals, which it would have been kind of cool to hear her growls, contrasting with Rasta's. But here, like I said, she mostly does clean vocals, and people were not having it. They don't like the idea. And, people can have their own opinion, but I liked how they sounded mixed with Vogg's riffs on here. The riffs that he was coming up with when her parts were coming in, and just throughout this whole song were really cool. And I think she was a good addition to the song. I really enjoyed the song the more I listened to it. I am really looking forward to this, as it's one of several releases that are coming out around my birthday, and I can't wait to snag it. And this is sure to be a heavy as hell month of May, which, considering it's my birthday month, really glad to hear that, because there is several releases from some heavy hitters that I'm really looking forward to. So yeah, that is going to do it. Go check out all these songs. Like I said, I will be leaving links down below to all these bands' band camps, so you can check it out for yourself. And yeah, that is going to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. And until next time, stay brutal.